Hey, Johnny. Hey, Errol.
Hey guys. Oh, there we go.
Brian, our new son, Jonathan, 6 weeks old. We are new to the JNF family too, I guess. Recently started joining this year. I work as a property and casualty insurance broker. My wife.
I'm a clinical licensed social worker.
Just as of yesterday, is now going to be working at Hospital for Special Surgery as a social worker.
Been at Mount Sinai for 5 years.
And
Switching over.
we're right now in Riverdale, and looking forward to this.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Very nice. Next up, we have Ashley Amrani.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley Amrani. I'm director of the Women's Campaign for the Tri-State area and working with the Young Families Division. Originally from Long Island, Great Neck specifically, and been living in Manhattan for 12 years now. This is my plus one for the evening, my boyfriend, Zach Weiner. You can share what you do.
I work in marketing, originally from Boston and also living in the Upper East Side. Great to be here.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. This is awesome.
All right, next up, David Gelbert and Ashley Modell.
Hey, nice to meet everyone. Based in New York, big supporter of Jess and Evan on the second box over there on the left. And I run a company called Parachute Health, a health tech company. And my wife is a chemist at the Broad in Cambridge.
Introduce Josh or you last?
I know you can introduce them.
All right, Josh Greenstein.
Hi guys, I'm going to be taking you on a little tour of some wine tonight. My name is Joshua Greenstein. I'm a fifth generation wine business. I live in Armonk, New York, and I'm going to be trying to get you slightly buzzed this evening.
Very good. Erica and Eric Kashi.
Are they on yet? Okay, we'll come back to it.
Okay, skip. Ben Levine.
You can start now.
Hey guys, I'm sorry. I'm Ben. What's up? This is my wife Zoe. I actually didn't know that we were gonna get called on, but it's good having sisters in high places. I don't think we're supposed to say anything, but we're grateful to be here.
We're from New York, but we're currently living in Arizona for the winter.
We're currently quarantine specialists with a minor in real estate development and fashion.
And we're starting a kids clothing brand soon called the Zen Kids Club. So
whoa, we don't have marketing dollars yet. Just kidding.
Should we do our whole group since you have us on the speakerphone?
Jessica and Evan Sherman. Nice to see so many families' faces. We'll speak a little more later. I work with my brother, actually. We do market rate and affordable housing development, mainly in New York, also in Arizona. And my husband, Evan.
I'm Evan. I work in real estate at Invesco, investing in properties on the East Coast.
And we have another wonderful couple, the newly engaged Dara.
Hi, Dara.
So we're not in New York because we're breaking all COVID rules by having the past maximum number of people gathering. So that's why we're here.
We're not recording.
I'm a teacher. I'm a DevOps engineer, and this feels a little like that old commercial about I'm a PC, I'm a Mac.
I'll mute us now.
Very good. Desi and David Miller.
Hi, we're Desiree and David Miller. We live in Rye, New York. I invest in renewable energy for the state of Connecticut.
And I'm a portfolio manager for Catalyst Funds.
Very good. Okay, Joe Rothenberg.
Hey, I'm Joseph Rothenberg. I'm new to JNF. I live on the Upper East Side, and it's great to be here.
Very good. Chelsea and Mikey Shmueli.
They couldn't make it tonight, unfortunately.
Oh,
They said their best.
Okay, next up, Kyla and Jonathan Stern. It's another Jonathan Stern.
Gonna make it, yeah.
Also looks like they might be late. I was so excited to have both Jonathan Stern.
Yeah, I was saying
at once.
To get on, so hang tight.
He's joining
I think
us.
you got his email, Johnny, and he didn't get his,
All right, so next up is Ariel and I. My name is Jonathan Stern also. This is my wife, Ariel. We're both in real estate. I do affordable housing in Maryland, predominantly. And Ariel?
I do real estate in New York and manage like a hard money mortgage fund. So, and also we have 3 kids, and we said we live in New York, right?
We live in New York. Yeah.
And we're expecting number 4. I promise not to drink too much, but it's very tempting.
Okay, next up is Glenn Weiss.
And Stacy.
Hi.
And Stacy Weiss. Oh, all right, you guys.
Oh, yeah,
there you go.
Okay. I'm Stacy Weiss. This is my husband, Glenn. We are from Livingston, New Jersey. We have 3 girls, 1 in college, University of Maryland, 1 senior and 1 freshman. I currently do some volunteer work for JNF. I help with the national campaign and for Israel, and I also volunteer for a local food pantry. My husband Glenn is in real estate. I'll let you take it away.
I work at Renato in New York. I'm on the board of JNF in New York. Hi, Sarah. How you doing? And hi to a lot of familiar faces. Thanks for having us. It's a lot of fun. Great to see everybody in a fun setting. Thanks for doing this.
Very good. Okay, next up, Risa Zegan. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that.
Hi, I'm Risa. This is Mark. We live in the Village in New York City. I'm a teacher, and unfortunately, we do have all this snow coming, but there is no snow day. Everyone still has to learn remotely tomorrow. So it's kind of upsetting.
And I work for Madison Realty Capital. It's a real estate debt fund.
Very cool. All right, I saw Michelle and Sheer did join, so if they want to introduce themselves and say what they do. Still not. Okay.
Michelle? Classic. I don't work from home, so I don't know to unmute.
Oh, there you go.
I'm Michelle. This is Sheer. Ariel Stern is my sister, and we work together in real estate in New York. I do more of the property management side of the business.
And I'm Sheer, and I work broadly in finance at a merchant bank.
And we have 1 baby and expecting another one. And we live on the Upper East Side. Michelle and I are amazingly actually 3 weeks apart, so we're super excited to have the cousins close together.
Awesome.
Is there anyone else?
I think we covered everyone.
Did anyone not introduce? Feel free to speak up.
We introduced ourselves, but I'm embarrassed that I didn't name my children.
Okay.
We have a 2.5-year-old named Orly and a 7-month-old named Eli. And because 2 of my friends forgot to name theirs, I'll shout out Zoe and Zach Zegan and Shayna and Elon Miller too.
Does anyone else have kids they forgot to mention? Well,
Which maybe it was intentional that we forgot our kids. It's the first time in 5 months we're not putting them to bed with their grandparents upstairs. So
Way to go. Okay. So thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. Now we're actually going to go back to Jessica, and she's going to introduce our speaker for the evening.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Sherman, my husband, Evan. As you know, we're proud members of JNF Young Families and the Chi Society, and a former member of the JNF Future New York Board. As many of you know, JNF has been an important part of our lives since me and my siblings, who you met, were very young, and certainly is a large part of mine and Evan's life. So we're really excited to have a new home in Young Families, as between the pandemic and 2 young children, we've aged out of some of the late night JNF parties that we all loved so much a few years ago.
speak for yourself.
Evan still wants to go. We really hope we can all be in person next year, but we think this is a really fun way to distract ourselves from either the snowstorm or the general inability to drink wine in a public place. So we're excited to see so many faces, and we hope everyone does get a little buzz, but doesn't have too much of a hangover in the morning. I'm very excited to introduce tonight's speaker, who you met briefly earlier, Josh Greenstein. Josh is a 5th generation wine business, and he's been in the industry since 2003. After graduating from the University of Hartford, he worked at Peerless Imports as a merchandiser, then at Gala Wine and Liquor, before heading to Deutsch & Sons as a district manager in the New York area. He's most recently spent the last 9 years as founder and head of a division of Royal Wine Inc. He's the executive vice president of the Israel Wine Production Association, and handles a regional team across the country while traveling, working closely with national distributors, and setting up events surrounding each brand in the portfolio. He works directly with 28 amazing Israeli wineries, coordinating and managing their brands throughout the United States. As a side project, Joshua met and created a successful wine brand from Israel with NBA All-Star and former Knick, Amari Stoudemire, which is kind of cool for those of us who are still Knick fans. So please
Especially
welcome.
the ones in Arizona.
We're always Knick fans. We're just here temporarily. So please welcome Joshua, and thank you from all of us for being here tonight.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me. I love doing these things and like seeing where everyone's located. I have a neighbor in Rye with me. I got some Livingston friends and some New York City friends. So it's just really cool. And to hear my description back, I laugh a little bit because it says I travel around the whole United States promoting Israeli wines. Now I go like this. I go, you see this little thing right there? That's really helping me travel really far right now. Like I've been all over the place. Like I wish my frequent flyer miles on Zoom counted because I would have so much stuff to not spend my points on right now. I think I have one of the cooler jobs when it comes to Israel. JNF does a great job. It's one of my favorite groups. You can ask Michael Feynman down in the bottom in my box how much work I've been doing with JNF since the beginning. I have a son, Hudson, who's 7 years old. And somehow, don't tell my wife, I'm going to whisper, all my Zooms get scheduled around bedtime. So it's like a crazy thing that this happens to work out like this. I was running around the world, the US and Israel primarily for the past 11 years promoting brand Israel. And it's a really cool thing because the joke I make, and Michael's heard it a bunch, I say, Israel's been making wine for about 5,000 years, Ashley. 5,000 years. They just got recognized being good at it. All right. It took a long time of learning and experimenting and embracing technology and embracing everything. So they're at the point now where if you go buy a bottle of this Yatir or a bottle of some of these tulip wines, they're getting 90 points Parker, Wine Enthusiast, and Spectator. So they've really come along far away on including and growing with the wines and getting to the point where they're so great today. So how this is going to work with me, feel free at any time to chime in. It's a small group. If you have a question, just unmute, chime in. We're all New Yorkers at some point, so we all know just how to jump in and say something. So don't be shy. So we're going to start tasting some wine tonight. The first one, if you guys want to, if you're not going to drink, you just want to look at the bottle and we'll talk about it, is from Vitkin Winery. And the way that we chose these wines was I love working with, can we get that map up for a second? This map is like my key. When I speak to my JNF friends, this is all I need to show people because I just think the map of Israel, attracts people and promotes the land and shows all the cool things. And it really shows you, you know how that speech had said I was up to 28 wineries? I'm at 30 now. We keep adding wineries from Israel because they just keep growing and growing and growing. And you'll just see the list of most of these wineries. This is about 90% of the wine imported from Israel to the US comes through me and my team and lets us run around the country and promoting these great, great wines. Thank you. We can jump that off for a second. Maybe we'll come back to that later. So that we're tasting the orders, the wine in the body order, lightest to fullest and understanding everything. So we're tasting it like a professional, like Ashley is at home. I know she's the professional one and said, you got to do this the right way, Josh. So the first wine we're tasting is a small boutique winery called Vitkin. The winemaker's name is Asaf Paz. He is a former bread baker, right? Why am I telling you about him being a bread baker? Because when wine and bread, it's like, when you're baking and you add a tiny bit of the wrong thing, the whole recipe is off. It's very similar to the winemaking process. It's got to be so precise and so perfect, but it's experimental. When you're baking, you're trying new things. When I'm making brownies, I want to throw shredded coconuts this time just to see how they come out. And if the batch doesn't come out good, you bring them over to the neighbor, right? And say, I made brownies for you. But if you like them, you're going to try it and you're going to do new stuff. So that's what's happening in Israel. The winemakers are really trying. The cool part about this white blend, it has the two grapes you would probably flock to the most in the white wine world are not in it. So that means no Chardonnay, no Sauvignon Blanc. It's a Grenache Blanc Chenin Blanc, Viognier, Colombard, and Gewürztraminer. So this is a true sense of the Israeli journey. The reason we chose the journey as the first wine, a lot like JNF does, is they take you on a great journey throughout the country. And they take you up and down, north and south, east and west. And I think this is just a good example of the journey throughout Israel and combining all the grapes and utilizing what Israel is all about. A little bit of this, a little bit of that makes what it really is. So I think this is a really cool wine just to kick off the night with. It's fun, it's fresh. I'll open it up. But who's drinking the white wine and wants to give me some tasting notes? Let's see. Jessica, you drinking the white? What do you think?
I'm drinking the white, but I'm terrible at this. Ooh.
And remember, I did not make the wines, so if we don't like them, there's no rude, there's no insulting. We're learning what we like and we don't like with wine. And if you don't like it, that's just as good as finding out that you did like it, because now you can move on to something else and keep trying it.
No, I like it. It's good, but do you have a description? Because I'm not good at descriptions.
I'm so bad at this.
Give me the word. What are you smelling? Let's just get there first. Now we all have the wine in our glass, right? The wine has been poured. And listen, wine is art. I know many of us love good, fine art. I see some fine art behind many of us. You know, wine is art. These winemakers are artists. They did not just intend for you to put this in a brown paper bag and just drink it. It's meant to be looked at. It's meant to be smelt. And I think this is one of the really more attractive smelling wines. It's really got that tropical fresh fruit, really Israeli.
I said tropical fresh fruit.
Look, we got professionals over there.
Isn't it like
the bartender?
She's the bartender.
We love wine.
And the reason I chose a white wine to start also is it's an interesting thing. What's going on in Israel now? As I mentioned, Israel finally just got recognized. It took 5,000 years of growing wine to get recognized for being good at it. It just took them a little time to realize that it was hot in Israel, right? And to drink white wine and rosé. You know, the majority of the wine being consumed in Israel was red wine and it was Cabernet, right? Let's be honest. Most of the wine consumed is Cabernet. Now there's, oh, is that Harry? Harry joining us? Hi, bud. So, you know, what's going on in Israel now is the growth of the white wine and the rosé industry is through the roof. How many of you, by just a quick show of hands, started drinking rosé like really hard this summer and spring and really got it? Yeah. It's like, and the funny part is, if you went to France or Europe or anywhere else in the world, 5, 10, 15, that was like their water, right? There was like no such thing as anything else. You wouldn't sit down at a table and they put water in your glass. They just put a rosé on your table. But the rosé industry has come really far, and the white wine industry is coming really far. And I hear from a lot of people, I don't love white wine. I don't like white wine. My suggestion with white wine is when you're cooking dinner or you're preparing something or it's going to be a long day, a great idea for that is just to throw that into the refrigerator, open it, and have that with whatever you're preparing or whatever you're cooking. So before we get too deep into all the wines, I'm going to give you a suggestion. Is this, we're going to give you a suggestion, okay? If you plan on opening all 4 bottles of wine tonight, first of all, congratulations, thank you, and enjoy and drive safe and have coffee ready for you in the morning. But if we do decide to open all the bottled wines, we're not going to finish them. Let's be realistic. There's 2 of you there, 3 of you there, 4 of you there. Maybe the Arizona team can party hardy. I have a feeling down there. But okay, so now the wine has been half finished. What are we going to do with it? We're going to take the cork out, put it back in upside down just because it goes in easier. And the white wine, we'll stick it in our fridge, right? We'll get another 2 to 3 days out of that white wine in the refrigerator, okay? Now, Ariel Stern, how much cut up fruit do you have in your refrigerator at home for the kiddies? And how much of it is like, you got cut up strawberries, you got some blueberries, you got some pineapples, right? Always?
I always have fruit, but I don't cut it up until they eat it because it doesn't last.
Perfect. You're helping me so much. So you know what you do when that fruit's about to turn and you got like that one more day on it, you don't want to throw it away, you know what you do? You give it to Johnny, you let him cut it all up, and you make a sangria. All right, so you pour whatever wine you don't have left. You have a little red, you have a little white, you pour it in, you put it in the fridge, you add a splash of brandy or 2, and then when it's time to serve, you add a little seltzer, a little ginger ale or whatever, and you cut it, you know, my wife always laughs. You know when you have that cup of iced coffee and all the ice melts and you add a big cup of ice and it's like your second drink? This is like free second drink. So it's just a cool thing to do. It's, you know, it's fun. It's seasonal. Hi, what's her name?
My daughter came to say hi.
Oh, hi.
Celine, you want to say hi?
Hi. Aksamea, Cece.
Oh, what a cutie.
Oh, she got so big. It's been so long since we've been all together in person. Wow.
Josh, our group of 6 people have a question. Is that your office or did you make like a Zoom corner in your bedroom?
Or is that your home office?
This is my home office, and I've slowly started adding like my little tchotchkes, my little this, my little that. And it's just like slowly, like I'm in my Zoom corner.
Are those bottles full or empty?
All full. These are all the Stoudemire wines on the top. These are all the new ones that are coming out. And then I have on the bottom a whole bunch of Yellowtail wines from when I used to work for Yellowtail. And just they're all signed bottles.
Very
it keeps me fun. And then also, which we're going to get into right now, is a perfect transition. Thank you guys are like on right now and helping me. This is like perfect Zoom right now if you had to write one up. So behind me on this other shelf, I have 7 different soil types. Okay. And why are these so cool? So this is volcanic soil from the Syrian Heights. We have some limestone soil from the Judean Mountains. We have, what else do we have here? Terra Rosa from the Upper Galilee. Why am I showing you guys dirt and why do I have dirt on my shelf? Because this is just showing you how this tiny little country, okay, the size of New Jersey, my Livingston friends, have the ability just to have, this is just a small section of these 7 different soil types throughout this whole country. And that allows them to be able to try new things, and experiment with the wine and grow new things. And that brings me into my next wine. And as you can tell, I'm not getting too deep into the wine and talking to you about the acid in this. That's personally not my style. I'm a storyteller. I want you guys to hear the cool story about the wine and understand why is this wine cool versus another wine. You just got to taste it. It's the story that's going to get you in the beginning. This is a winery called Tabor. Okay, there's an owl on this bottle, and I'm going to tell you the quick story about this owl. So it's from an ecological vineyard in Israel. There's a woman named Michal. She's a full-time agronomist for Tabor Winery. She's got a sick job. She is like you know when you're a kid and you just want to play in the sandbox all day. She has that job all year long. Like, it's awesome. She wears this cool bucket hat. She goes into the wood, like into the vineyards, and she just gets dirty all day long. Personally, I would love that. And what the owl symbolizes is that the barn owl has come back to the vineyard. So when the insect came back, and then the mouse came back, and then the snake came back, and then the rat came back, and then the fox came back, now the owl's back. So they tried so hard to get back to the vineyards to get them to the point where the owl was flying around the vineyard and eating and protecting everything. And now they're at the point where the vineyards are like perfect. These are overlooking the Sea of Galilee vineyards. This is like one of the 3rd or 4th largest winery in Israel. This is a 100% Cabernet Sauvignon, 2016, but just the story of what they're doing to work the land and help the land over there. It's really amazing. This is Tabor Cabernet, 2016. And as far as pairings, the first wine, as I mentioned, I'd probably pair it with some fresh fish or a nice salad or a piece of chicken, or it's just my wine that I would open up while I'm preparing all my food and doing everything.
Can we guess what you would pair this one with?
Yeah, please.
Pork chop.
No, we don't eat pork chop.
Perfect.
I think steak or a burger and fries.
Burger and fries. This is like a lighter body Cabernet. So Cabernets come in many different styles, lighter, fuller. This is probably a lighter one. This will be a perfect burger wine. This is like you're on the grill. You just want to be outside. You want to pop a bottle. It's not crazy expensive, but it's just a good one just to pop a bunch of and just go.
I'm surprised how much I like it. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I like
And it's like I said, they're really putting a lot into the vineyards to make these wines great. And the fact they have a full-time agronomist on staff, where I remember one time she was in the US and she gets a text message on her phone that the water count was low on vineyard block 1747B and it needed to have more water done on it. So what does she do? She goes on her phone and she does this like whole crazy thing, and then like she fixed it. It's like crazy to see where the technology is and to understand and respect it, and remind you guys that you know, when we're getting this, I'm good at transitioning today. The next wine that we're going to be going into will be a little bit bigger and fuller body wine. Okay, that's how we're doing it. We're going lighter, a little bit fuller. And the reason this one is so cool is because this one affects JNF so much. It's really just a special story of what JNF did for these guys, and with these guys, to plant the forest in the JNF forest. Ashley, do you want to touch that for 1 second, maybe?
What, you want the map up, or you said?
No, I'm asking you. Do you want to tell me a little bit about what JNF is doing in this unbelievable Yatir region?
And it sounds like you know more than I do right now, Josh.
Well, listen. So the water, obviously, water in the desert is not an easy thing, right? Let's be honest. It's tough to get that water there. Yatir has grown to the point now where it's one of the most popular boutique wineries. Around Goldschwader is the winemaker, and they're really starting to try some funky things. So this is a blend of, you ready? Petit Verdot, Cabernet, Shiraz, Malbec, and a very interesting grape called Tannat. Okay, it's one of the few grapes that's a palindrome. If you want to trick any of your friends and ask them what grape is a palindrome, one of them is Tannat. Okay, and it's just a fun grape. You'll find a couple 100% Tannats, real inky, real dark, fruity. So this is a bigger, full-bodied wine. But the Yatir winery is doing some great things.
Josh, can you hold the bottle up again, please? Thanks.
You've had that one, Mike?
I'm sorry if I missed this, Josh, but can you tell us what it's named after, if you know any of them?
What they're named after?
What's the story?
No, I don't know why they chose those names. I can't give you that answer. I'm not a liar and going to make something up on the spot. I'll just be honest. I do not know the exact reason why one of them is. I don't, but I'll look into it because that's a very interesting. No one's ever asked me why did they come up with the name Yatir or Tabor or Vitkin. You got me.
So it could be. So one thing about Yatir is that it is the largest desert forest. It's the main reason that proves that we can truly make the desert bloom. A lot of times people will leave a desert alone and not try to plant it. But since 1901, JNF has been planting 250 million trees in all of Israel. Now, I don't want to talk too much about trees because the whole point is that JNF is doing so much more than that. But Yatir in and of itself could be one of the best wines that we're trying tonight, also because it's named after a place that shouldn't exist really to this day. But it is a place that JNF has been planting millions and millions of trees for the last 100+ years.
Josh, quick question for you, Josh.
Go on, Michael.
I was asked a question about Stern Winery by somebody in this group. And I do know that there are 2 John Sterns in this group right now.
I know all about.
It's all about Stern Wine. But just real quick, Stern Wine is not part of your creation, your production, right?
Yeah, so I'm an honest guy also, so I'll tell you my exact story about the Stern Winery. So Michael actually mentioned Stern Wine to me. He goes, guys, we got 2 guys named John Stern. They're part of JNF. Why don't we bring Stern Winery? Can you help them? I said, sure. So Stern Winery sent me some samples. What's going on in Israel now is there's over 350 total wineries in Israel these days, and growing quickly, really, really growing. A lot of American businessmen are starting to get involved and buy. For example, Yatir just got bought by the Schottenstein and Jesselson family, Riverdale guy. Where's my Riverdale people?
I didn't know that.
Right. Jesselson and Schottenstein just bought Carmel and Yatir with a couple other investors. So it's really become a big thing now to have wineries in Israel. But what's happening is, if there's any micro beer drinkers in this room, and I'm sure there's a couple of you, you know that they're extremely small production, they're really small produced, and they're very hard to find. There's a beautiful bottle of Stern wine right there. And we spoke to Stern about importing some of that wine into the US, and we've spoken to him a couple times. And a lot of these people, for a winery to really survive, they need to have a really good business of winery sales, because that's one of the few ways that they can actually make a decent paycheck is to sell a lot of wine out of the winery. So us importing the wine, we've spoken to him a couple times. I would love to bring his stuff in. Every time I've tasted it, it's excellent. And it's in the works to try to get more and more wines from Israel here in the US and promoting them.
Yeah, well, it's Glenn and Stacy. We asked Michael about Stern. When we saw Johnny Stern, there's 2 of them on here actually. We figured one of them was going to be him.
Yes. That Johnny Stern is very much asleep. He's in Israel. But both the Jonathan Sterns have tried
That's what we figured.
Wine.
I think both Jonathan Stearns have the Stern bottle in their hand, I think.
We do.
Yep, I can't bring myself to drink it. I don't know. I saved it.
Michael and Sarah and the team sent us there last year when we went to Israel, and it was
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's
We actually bought a
phenomenal.
lot of it when we got home. Yeah.
Also, it's just a quick thing on storage wine for you guys that do want to cellar it and do want to keep it. Israel's, again, has recently gotten to the point now where their winemakers are creating their wines, let's say, to last. You know, wines are meant to be sat down. Wines are meant to be aged. Like this Yatir that you're drinking is a 2016. I promise you, in 10 years, it will be way different. I'm not saying better, different, more interesting, more unique. One of the things I've done now during this COVID process is I went into my wine cellar. I did not tap into my whiskey collection yet, thank God, because that's for my little guy's college. First year of college, I hope to sell my whiskey collection and pay for the first year of school. But we tapped into our old wines. We started opening old stuff that we've never opened before. And it's just really cool to be able to open old wines and try new things. So when storing wine, just reminding everybody, please make sure the bottle is lying on its side no matter what. If you don't have a wine room, you don't have a wine cave, you don't have anything in your house, take the case of wine and lie it on its side and make sure it's lying like this in a cool, dark place. That's it. Now, if you don't finish your red wine for tonight, we talked about Ariel making some sangria with the red. Do not put the red into the fridge. Just put the cork back in and put it in the kitchen, like in that back corner. And Michael, not the corner next to the toaster, because the toaster gets hot, Michael. Put it next to the other corner, okay?
Can you mix the reds for sangria, or you should make a different sangria with each leftover red?
When you're doing a sangria, I'm all about mixing. It's okay. You know, add fresh fruit, add whatever you have at home. Brandy's key.
Why do we leave the wine on its side?
Because the cork needs to stay wet. So the cork, good question. Let me get one of my tools on my handy dandy shelf. You see this? How cool is this, right? It's a piece of bark, right? Look what this is, Johnny. This is the cork from a tree. So this was like this is how like the original, I mean, still when they use corks today, they're punched out of this thing. It's not that often. Maybe one of these wines, maybe two of them have actual real cork in them, because to the point now it's gotten very expensive. Cork is hard to get. But if a little bit of air or a little bit of anything gets into that bottle, that's what causes the bottle of wine to go bad. So the more that we can do to save it and keep that cork wet, so the less air can get into it, the better it's going to be.
And sorry, one more. How many days can you keep the red?
Personally, 2 to 3 maybe. On the 4th day, try it. If you don't like it, throw it away. If you like it, drink it. Listen, there's no such thing as bad wine anymore. No one's making bad wine. Okay, everyone has something they like. Okay, like if I asked you how many people like Manischewitz, maybe one person would like it because their grandmother had it or whatever. But it's a huge wine. There's a ton of people drinking it out there. I'm not comparing it to this in any way, but I'm just saying there's a consumer out there for everything.
So
Can I ask a question? Oh, sorry.
Please.
I have a question. I'm not sure if this is kind of a hard one, because as you just said, if we were only going to open one red one tonight, could you make a recommendation on which one we should open?
Yeah, I would open either the Tulip or the Yatir Red. It's a big full-bodied red, the one that we just talked about. And the next one has a great story and the transition. And then the next one's a straight Cabernet with a little bit of some other stuff into it. Not as full, so it depends if you want something heavy or lighter.
Okay.
I did Yatir just based on the modeling. Tabor, I know that they have it a lot of wine shops in the city, but Yatir is the first. Don't remember. It's not really that widely available in the city, is it, Josh?
No, listen, this is a higher end one also. This is this is a blend. This just came out fairly new. So try one of those two. But listen, the beautiful part about wine is I tell people, during quarantine now, you're with your significant other for so long. We all love each other. We all love our wives and our boyfriends or our girlfriends. And you might be running out of things to talk about, right? Actually, like, what are you guys, what are we talking about these days? You know what we do? You open a bottle of wine that you've never had before, either of you, and break it down. Talk about it. Hey, what are you getting in this? Like, are you getting cherry? Or are you getting, like, have fun with it. That's what wine's supposed to be about. And it's a topic of conversation, like it's something to talk about. It's something to go, and it takes you to that special place. And then when the bottle's over, there's a lot of talking that will go on. So Is there any other questions, or I'm going to transition into the next one?
I had a question. Do those devices we have, one I forgot it's called, where you suck the air out, do those work, and how long do they, how much life do they give your?
So there's two that you're talking about. There's one that has like a little rubber stopper, almost like this big, that goes in, and then you kind of like you pump it, right? Maybe an extra day. You're just taking the oxygen out of it a day or two.
Oh man, that's not working.
But if you want to get something really cool, there's a thing called the Coravin. All right, it's $100 approximately. Maybe they lowered the price down to $150 or something.
I just bought it. I just got it today. They did not lower the price, but I got it.
It was $200.
Yeah, I didn't try it yet. Just got it today.
And then the canisters, I think you get like 12 out of each. It comes out to like 70 cents a pour. I forget what the math is, but whatever, it's worth it. So if you're open, so what did you have it next to you or no?
I didn't even open the box yet.
So what the Coravin is was like this doctor guy that invented this wine opener that never makes you open the bottle. Okay, so technically the bottle was never opened. You could drink this whole bottle and never take the cork out of it and pour the whole wine. So it sticks this little metal thing into it, it sucks it out, it puts nitrous and all this stuff back in, and then you just pour your wine and you look at it and the bottle just starts going. And then maybe halfway through you can pop the cork and drink it. But I've tasted a Pinot Noir, which is like the most difficult grape to work with, that was like open in a bottle like that was like a year old. And it was perfect.
So
Makes me better.
if you were to buy something, either an aerator, which is like the thing that you pop in and you can pour out, or a decanter.
So decanting, I'll give you the cheap way, the ghetto way. You ready? Open the bottle. Let's say you're opening the bottle of wine for dinner tonight, right? And before you go to work or before you go to lunch, take a little bit of the wine and just pour it out of the bottle. Like, I've heard people call it like lowering the shoulders of the wine and like bringing it down. Just pour a little bit, let a little air get into it. That's all that you're doing with the decanter. And come back and visit it. You know, let's call it you're opening it for Shabbos. Open it before Friday afternoon when you're preparing and just let it sit there. Let a little bit of air get into it. But try it first and try it an hour later and try it 2 hours later and just see your own curiosity of what it does. It's something totally different. It's very cool. Any other questions, or I'll jump into the next one?
I have a question. And maybe you want to punt this till later because I know we have another wine to taste. So we're tasting these 4 wines and seeing like the variety of wine that comes out of Israel. Obviously, you said 21 or 28 wineries, so you represent a lot. If I go into a wine store in Manhattan or Arizona and I want to buy a good Israeli wine, what are sort of the regions, the details I should look for to know, oh, this will be like that great Yatir or Tabor that I tried with Josh?
So Israeli, primarily, the winemakers are stylistically making their wine where they studied, okay? So it's not like the guy from this Iran woke up one morning and said, you know what, I'm gonna make wine. I'm gonna go to the army, instead of going to India or wherever those guys go for the year on their backpacking trip, I'm gonna go study in Australia and become a winemaker. That's what this guy did. I have the guy at Tabor, she went to UC Davis, or I have the guy, these people are learning and are becoming real professionals. So that being said, if you're new to the Israeli wine world, what I tell people is walk into a store, walk into a restaurant. If you have a friend that owns a restaurant, a store, or a hotel, or a business, and they don't carry Israeli wine, walk in and ask for it. All right? Walk in, hey, do you guys carry Israeli wine here? No, we don't. And listen, you should, because they're making some great wines. So it's our job, it's my job to go out there and educate people about what I'm doing here and turn all you guys on and let you know that, hey, listen, Israel's making some really good freaking wine finally. We're at a good point, so ask for it. But the Judean Hills, as far as the quick version of your question, the Judean Hills and the Golan Heights are primarily 2 of the best growing regions, that we can call them if you want, Napa and Sonoma. So if you want to pull up that map, Melissa, for one more second.
Question. Where is Manischewitz grown?
That's New York.
Well, I'm sorry?
New York.
Oh, so the grapes aren't even from Israel?
Manischewitz has nothing to do with Israel.
Wow.
Do you know who the largest consumer of Manischewitz is?
Poland.
Evan
Washington
Sherman.
Heights.
Oh.
Washington Heights.
Interesting.
Do not.
It's literally just break. Like, it has nothing to do.
Wait, you missed it. Is the answer Washington Heights?
Yeah. Yeah, it's an urban drink. It's a sweet, easy drinking wine. You know, you stick that cold and people like it. So it's there.
It's like Alizé of wine.
Perfect. It's exactly good explanation. So if you look at this map right here, you see the Judean hills between the Dead Sea and a little bit south of Jerusalem, and it maybe goes up a little tiny bit more to maybe like number 20. And then you have the Golan Heights up in the north and the Galilee. So those are two really good primary growing regions. And transitioning, so I love transitions tonight. You had mentioned before, hey, listen, our whole goal is going towards the north, right? What was the exact word? It's moving. Let me look at it here. What is it, Ashley? What's the whole slogan? Going to the north?
Go North campaign. It's our initiative to improve the quality of life in the north of Israel. So that includes employment opportunities, that includes medical care, things like the Galilee Culinary Institute in the northeast, and things like the Akko Tourism Center that we're building in the west, as well as the Employment Center.
Beautiful, thank you for that. So speaking of going north, we chose the wine so we'd end in the north, okay? So for those of you who don't know the story of Tulip Winery, it's one of the best, if not the best story we have going. The Kavar Tikva, the Village of Hope, is a winery located about 45 minutes north of Tel Aviv. It's a community for special needs, men and women, autistic, mentally challenged men and women that aren't able to live at home anymore. The community was created years ago to give these people a sense of living and a sense of this and a sense of having a place to live, because it's very difficult to sometimes have people like this at home and around. It's you know, they want to be around and have somebody there to take care of them and give them the needs that they need. So a gentleman by the name Roy Yitzhaki about 10 years ago decided to open a winery. He was a real estate guy. I heard of a lot of real estate guys on this. Don't get in the wine business, all right? And that's my advice for the day. He decided to get into the wine business. And he said, listen, in Israel, you know, the government will give you money if you open here, if you open there, they'll give you all these special things. What this guy did was he opened up in this community for special needs. He built the winery around this community for special needs, and he employs them, okay? He gives them a sense of job. They have a place to get up every single morning, work, collect a paycheck, and go buy stuff for their friends and family. One of my favorite stories that they tell, it's about a guy who was 30-something years old, and he came to the community mute, did not speak a word, was just in his own world. You know, he was lost. A couple weeks into work, the joke is now he won't shut up. He doesn't stop talking. All he does is want to work and make money to go buy stuff for his girlfriend. And it's awesome. If you close your eyes and think about that story and you wonder, like, why the hell, who wants to do that? Who wants to go work? Everybody does. Think about it, we're trapped at home right now. You want to get out of the house so bad, it just changes you as a person. Imagine being 30 years trapped in your own head and you just needed a sense of finding themselves through work and through good deeds and through helping. So Tulip is like an amazing freaking place. I go there every time to visit just because I want to hang out with those people. I want to talk to those people. They're doing great work and they're making really, really, really good wine. This is their entry-level wine. This is a Cabernet. This is not 100% Cab, 90% Cab, 5% Carignan, and 5% Viognier, which is a white grape, just to remind everybody. And that's used in the fining process to make the wine just be exactly where the winemaker wanted. And just a quick transition to the last wine that we're not tasting. I have a bottle of this Stoudemire wine here, and the reason I wanted to show it to you guys was because Stoudemire is making his wine at Tulip Winery in Israel. I'm actually going to show you guys a sneak peek on my shelf. No one has seen this out. It comes out on Monday of next week. Literally, nobody has seen this yet, okay? This is a new Stoudemire wine. It was made in California. It's going to retail for about 25 bucks a bottle. And he's going to come out with a rosé. It's Stoudemire Origin. It's just, and the reason I'm showing you that is because I want you guys to see that it doesn't mean anything about kosher. Do you notice I haven't used that word once the whole conversation, by the way, the K word? I don't talk about that. All my wines happen to have that little K certification on the back, just like Snapple, Hershey, Godiva, Ritz, and a million other things we all have in our closets. So my job is to go out there and simply promote the fact that Israel is making some damn good wines and they finally got the hang of it. What can everybody do to help in this room? Like I said, walk into a place that doesn't carry Israeli wine, request it. You have a friend that owns a restaurant, tell them to bring in Israeli wine. I don't want 100 of them. I don't want the whole wine list. I'm just sick of being on the bottom shelf next to the port in the back of the liquor store next to the bathroom. You know, it's not where I deserve to be. It's like, who's my Maryland guys? Johnny Stern, I think someone else was talking about. You familiar with Total Wine? That little wine shop that does $1 billion in business a year? Total Wine. The guy's name is David Trone, okay? He's a politician now. He's a lawyer, politician, and he owns Total Wine and More. Look them up. They are the largest liquor store in the world. Okay, this guy made it in like the past 10 years. He just killed it. He's the man, not Jewish guy. If you go to any Total Wines, there's one near Livingston to my Livingston friends. There's 2 sections in the store. One says kosher, one says Israel. It's huge, huge that we're getting recognition in many stores. There's a store in the city, what's Embassy Wine or Ambassador Wine. I'm sorry, it's on like 3rd and 50 something. Ambassador, Lenny and Ambassador. He doesn't call his wines kosher. He calls them Israeli.
Second
That's what
Avenue.
I'm trying to promote.
Second Avenue.
Second Avenue. Thank you.
What do you think is the biggest opportunity for Israeli winemakers? Like something they're not doing? You mentioned Amari's rosé, but like, are there other things that you think, like what's the future of Israeli wine? What should we expect to see that's different that they're going to be bringing?
Mainstream. I think that's the whole goal, is just to become of a mainstream thing and not to be focused on just as kosher, just to be focused on as a wine. Like, I tell everybody the most important part about a person or their family is their last name, right? Like your last name is who you are. That represents who you are. Everybody knows, everyone calls you by your last name. Hey, Stern, get over here. Everyone knows Stern, like that's your last name. The most important thing about all my wines, they all share the same last name. The first name might be Yatir, the first name might be Vitkin, the first name might be Tabor, but the last name is all Israel. That's what they all have in common. That's the most important factor about all of them, is the fact that they're Israel. That's it. The winemaker wouldn't have let them get to the point of coming to my country or coming to their own country and put their name on the back bottle if it wasn't good. Someone likes a $10 bottle, I have. Someone likes a $9 bottle, I have. I have a $250 bottle. We're all over the place. So Israel, my goal, and the goal I think of Israel, is just to really mainstream their wines, let people know that they're making good wines. That's really it's just educating people. Every year I travel the whole country. My favorite thing to do is I stick my phone in people's face into like a winemaker, into like I go to like a non-kosher steakhouse, right? And I'll taste the buyer on wines because I'm working with whoever. And I'll be like, hey, dude, before today, did you ever have a wine from Israel? He goes, no. I'll go, all right, hold on, let me get my phone out. I'm going to videotape you. I say, have you ever had a wine from Israel before? No. What did you think you were going to have prior to this? Manischewitz, excuse my language, dog shit. I've heard everything. I've heard the craziest answers you can imagine. And then at the end, I'm like, so what do you think now? And no one has criticized it. So it's literally my goal is just to get people to taste. So if you're giving, it's a little late for Hanukkah or Christmas presents, but you're giving presents, you're giving something, you have a business, you have a big corporate gift you need to give to somebody. A friend of yours just did something nice for you. You were going to send him that really nice bottle of scotch. No, send him a bottle of wine from Israel. It's the easiest way to support small businesses, actually bringing it back together. It's easy to support these businesses. It's easy to give back to these people. And think about how much work you do to go spend $25 on a bottle of Israeli wine. Think about what we just did. We helped so many people. We helped the winemaker, you helped the family, you helped the friends, and you really supported all the way. And you helped yourself because you got a good buzz out of it, right? So it's fun. It's cool. It's a really interesting thing to do. And we're all here to support Israel and do anything. And the reason I personally love JNF and all the people that work for you guys or with you guys as a team and as a family, it's because you all have the same common interest. You might not all be wearing a yarmulke every day and have sit down to hear and do what you got to be doing, but you have such a special place in your heart for Israel. And to me, that's the most amazing thing. And that's what we all want to do here, is just find a way to support Israel, grow Israel. And you know what? The most important thing is put a positive spin on it and show people the good stuff that's coming out of this country and talk about the fun and talk about the positive. We're not talking about war or politics. We're talking about wine and food. What's better than that? Those are the two best things in the world. So that being said, I think that you guys are the best ambassadors for me out there. You guys love JNF. You guys do all these cool things for the organization. And how to do more is just keep drinking wine and that's the lesson of the day. I don't think that's a bad one. Do you?
It's to keep drinking wine and stay involved with JNF as well. But we do have something called the Mitzvah Marketplace, is where we have a lot of Israeli vendors. I'll send the link to everyone following the event, but if you want to order olive oil, if you want to order special tapestries, if you want to order special gifts for anyone, it might not arrive from Israel before Christmas, but you can always get it in January, February, maybe a special Tu B'Shvat gift. Josh, we love.
So I just sent the link on the chatter.
Thank you.
And for the Stern Boys and Glenn Weiss, you could get Stern wine on there. Just saying.
Yes, you can. You can work a lot of our vendors. So it's really unfortunate. Obviously, for the last 8 months, none of us have been traveling to Israel unless you have an Israeli passport. This was a way that, working with the committee, we thought this was the best way to bring everyone together, bring the support back. A lot was raised tonight, so we really are appreciative. And we want to thank Josh so much also for his expertise on this. Of course, we can circulate his information if you want to order more wine. If anyone has any last questions before Michelle Abramov closes us out.
Josh, I have a quick question for you. What is the Middle Eastern wine scene like? You know, is Israel the only one really making wine? You don't really hear much about like Arab wines.
Well, most of them are not drinking it in public, so that's always an interesting concept. But what's happening is in Israel, I would say 90% of the wine that's made in Israel is consumed in Israel. Okay, so it's just started breaking out. You have Chateau Moussard, which is like the one other wine that's not from Israel, that's like a big Middle Eastern wine. But when you're an Arab country and you're not allowed to drink wine, it's tough for them. You know, like I drove through Yehuda Shomron, and I was driving by a vineyard, and it was like an Arab vineyard. And I looked at the guy that was in the car, and I'm like, dude, those grapes look sick. Those are like old, huge vines. He goes, they just let them grow. They don't even pick them. They're like the best of the best of the best of the best grapes. And it's just like, well, maybe they'll eat them and that's it. They're not even good table grapes. So Israel's in the far most, listen, Jews, thank God, I tell everyone that's not Jewish, I say, dude, you guys, you don't understand. We have to drink every week. We have one holiday that tells you have to drink a bottle of wine. You have another holiday that tells you got to get so wasted you don't remember the night. Like, come on, this is a great thing we got going on here.
How many times a year do you typically go to Israel to taste the wine?
I usually go 1.5 times a year, I call it. I was going to go with you guys actually this year. I had a fun project planned for you guys in Israel. I was going to be like your token wine guy on the whole trip, and we were going to have wines paired with each region and each night. It was going to be, and I promise you, with Michael shaking his head yes, and if we do it again, I'm there. I'm right there. So
Hey,
I
Josh.
love going there. Yeah.
Sorry, tell them about the Kosher Food and Wine Expo at the Javits Center.
Tell them about the Galilee Culinary Institute that we're building in the north of Israel that everyone will visit next year.
So listen, food and wine has come so far. Michael had just mentioned that will get me into yours, Ashley, that the food and wine thing, we do a huge KFWE every year just showcasing all the wines from Israel, and it's important to taste, okay? If you've never had it before, taste it. If you don't like it, let someone else, have friends over to taste it, or give it to someone else to throw it away, and or make a sangria with it. But what Ashley's mentioning is this great thing. I've really become really close friends actually with Lior. I'm doing some stuff with him. I got to Mike Salmon off because of that one event I did with you guys. I don't know if anyone's familiar with South Beach Food and Wine. It's a big, huge, sick event in Miami put on every year, not kosher, not Jewish. And Mike was speaking, and I helped Mike do an event. He called me up on stage to come do a whole cooking demo with him. It was just awesome to see like where these guys are going and where the industry is. And it's like, it's real now. Gotten to the point where it's like it's a real deal thing, but it does take a lot of help from all of us to go out there and just promote it a little bit and ask for it, especially places that don't have it.
Any other questions for Josh? Amazing. I'm going to
Thank you guys. My email's in the link also if you have any questions for me.
I'm going to CC Josh on the email so anyone can reach out, learn how they can get more Israeli wine. Josh is not going anywhere. God willing, when we open up JNF House again for everyone, we can have him back for events. He helped with our sold out Mike Solomonov culinary event last year. He helped host a beautiful event in Ariel and Johnny's home in early 2020 as well. And he is open to more conversations. So please do keep him in mind. And thank you all so much for supporting the small businesses. Oh, Jeff Levine. Jeff has joined us. I have to stop for a moment. Jeff, if you want to introduce yourself to everyone.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jeffrey Levine, chairman of the Jewish National Fund. I was told that I'm too old to be part of this event by my daughter. Doesn't get worse than that.
I let him taste the wine.
But while I was finished lighting Hanukkah candles with my granddaughter, which was better. So everybody, thank you for participating. Josh, I think you remember you've been in my home many years
That's
ago.
beautiful. Thanks, Jeff.
That's right.
Always. And listen, we look forward to seeing you all in person next year in Jerusalem, as we say.
Amen. Jeff, it's so good to see you. Thanks for joining us, and thank you for taking care of the kids. Jessica, thank you for making this happen for your family to join us. Michelle, if you'd like to do the close.
Unmute. Thank you so much, Josh, for sitting down with us this evening. It was so fun to learn about all the different wines. As I said earlier, my name is Michelle Abramov, and I'm a proud longtime supporter of JNF and a member of the Young Families Division. My life has taken me in and out of New York, but JNF community has been there every step of the way, even in Philly. I became involved with JNF Young Families with my sister Ariel, and I love seeing my friends at the events. My own connection to JNF began at a young age, but the importance of JNF's work was crystallized when I was in college. I was fortunate to be raised in a family with strong role models, my father and mother, who showed me to fight for what I believe in. My father serves as a JNF New York board member, and he helped pioneer a program for JNF's fire and rescue efforts. His leadership and support for all things Israel serves as inspiration for Shir and I as we build our own philosophy on philanthropy and serve as models for our own children. Last year, Shir and I attended JNF's sold-out culinary event featuring Lior and James Beard Award winner Michael Solomonov. At the event, I shared with JNF staff that my husband's family is from that same city, where the Culinary Institute is going to be located. Shir has deep roots in Kiryat Shmona in the north of Israel. You want to say this right? Shir spent his summers visiting his grandparents, where he fondly recalls waking up at the crack of dawn to help them run their family business. I was fortunate to explore this part of Israel with Shir on a trip to Israel and was struck by its natural beauty. However, Shir's family story highlights a deep need for development in this region. Despite having a family of over 35 members, only one has stayed in Kiryat Shmona, and that's part-time. Most have chosen to move to larger hubs like Tel Aviv and Haifa. It's been so fun with Josh to hear how much JNF is investing in small businesses and to help them grow in the Galilee. We can't wait to visit again. We already scheduled our fall 2021 trip.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. Many of you previously or currently give to JNF at $1,800. And I can't thank you enough for your support. Tonight, I hope everyone else will join me and share it and pledge that amount for JNF's Young Family Division.
Good to know.
Your gift will include complimentary invites to private Zoom events and special JNF briefings, help from major donors like yourselves. Also, if you haven't seen, JNF is running virtual tours to Israel, which I'm so excited about. Spend 1 hour a day over a week with family and friends and community members around the country. If interested in any of the mentions, you can speak with Ashley directly. She's happy to meet for Zoom, coffee, or drinks. Maybe even the wine that we got tonight.
I have a lot more wine to drink, so please help me.
She'll educate you further on JNF's projects and help you decide how to get more involved. Again, thank you so much for making the time to be here tonight and enjoy your wine. Thank you, guys.
That's it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Enjoy your wines.
Hanukkah Sameach.
Chag Sameach.